Okay, good morning and welcome to our first math class, Imperial Measures of Length. Typically we use the metric system, meters, centimeters, decimeters, kilometers, which operates mostly in tens, hundreds, thousands. The imperial system is the system that we had before. And it's important to be familiar with the imperial system because it still gets used in the construction industry. Okay. So in the imperial system, as you can see here, some imperial units of measure are the inch, the foot, the yard, and the mile. Oh, I forgot to mention, this is on page 4 of the textbook. Excuse me. So let's have a look at what this consists of first off, and then we'll have a look at what some of the objects are that might be a variety of different lengths. Here we have a ruler. There we go, my camera was going bonk there for a minute. Here we have 10 inches. This is a 12-inch ruler. That means this ruler is about a foot. Okay, and there are 12 inches in a foot. So there's your basic reference. Then we have the yard. A yard has 3 feet. So a yard would have, let's see if I can show the entire 12 inches when I go diagonal. I can come close to it, not quite. A yard has 3 feet. So a yard would have 3 of these rulers. So an inch, there we have our inch from here to here. An inch is a little more than 2.5 centimeters if you want to do the metric comparison. 12 inches make a foot, and 3 feet make a yard. And then we have the mile, which we'll get to a bit later. But what I want you to be thinking about is, what are some reference of things that have approximately 1 foot? Like, what are some of those things? If I'm looking around the ITV room here, the stump that the eagle is perched on is about 1 foot. The golden eagle. We should do a heading here, right? Imperial measures of length. Stump is about a foot. Do I have anything that's about a yard? Maybe the height of some of the chairs. Yeah, some of the chairs are the height of the chairs would equal about 1 yard. And just one more example for an inch. What would be about an inch? The thickness of the pile of math textbook sitting back there. I see some people haven't taken their math textbook yet. Math book thickness equals 1 inch. By the way, just for an extra point of reference, a foot, the symbol for a foot is 1 marked like this, and if we're doing an inch, it's 2. Zwaarstriselen, aanstriselen. Aanstriselen för fuß, 2 inch. Okay. So let's move along to some additional information. Make this table in your notebook. The imperial unit, the abbreviation, which I'm going to do ABB, abbreviation, because I'm going to be running short of space here, pretty short order. Abbreviation, referent. A referent is something that's approximately that length. Like we just did 3 different referents for a foot, a yard, and an inch. So a referent is something that is approximately that length. And then the relationship, as in the relationship as it relates to other units. Now I just want to put a line under my headings here, so I'm fussy that way. When you watch a class during this unit, you should obviously have a ruler with you. Let's begin with the inch. Abbreviation for inch is IN. I've already used that previously, right? And a good referent for something that's an inch, here in the book they mention your thumb, but let's try and get creative and let's do something else. Perhaps that would be an inch. We already did the thickness of a book. Playing card. Playing card width. You know, in a deck of cards. Next we'll do the foot. And we're going to do the relationship between them all at the end. Foot, abbreviation FT, and literally your foot is a foot. Like your foot, where your toes are, that's generally about a foot in length for most people. Like my foot, measure it here, is almost 10 inches. So someone with a large foot, their foot is going to be an actual foot. If that makes sense. Which one is the actual foot? The foot or the measurement, or your foot on your body or the measurement? Which one do we classify as the actual foot? Don't know. Don't think too hard about that. The yard. Short form for a yard, YD. Of course, I've already used some of these. And yard is 3 feet. A typical distance for a yard, something that's about a yard long. They've got arm span here, so the length of your arm would be about a yard. Yard is very similar to a meter, so you could list a meter stick as a reference. But I am going to say the thing that the eagle is standing on here in the room, the eagle display. And finally, a mile. That's the one we haven't mentioned yet. Short form, abbreviation, MI. Now, what is about a mile long? Like what is, well, wasn't it mile? Typically, you've got a mile between road signs. Like if you drive out to Henry Road and you take the number 8 highway, when you get to road 91, you've driven a mile. Or when you drive from road Henry Road down to where that old little white church is, that's road 89. So let's say from road 90 to road 91. It's just an example of what a mile would be. I'm not exactly sure, like if you go for a walk, you leave Netley, when exactly you've walked a mile, I'm not sure. You've walked a kilometer when you get to the dirt road that runs down to the creek. When exactly you've walked a mile is quite a bit further. It's not all the way up to the number 8 highway, but it's somewhere in between where you would have walked about a mile. Where exactly, I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to figure that out. That could be something that you could figure out with Google Maps, eh? Possibility. All right, so there's some good information for you. Now, let's look at one more example in the textbook, and then we'll begin with some examples. So I'm looking at page 6. As you can see, the green chart here, I was using that as a reference when we made the table. But there's a better chance that you remember things if you write them down as opposed to just reading them. And plus, I did it a little differently. I used some different reference and so on. Oh, we haven't done the relationships yet. Let's do that. So we've got the inch. We're based on the inch. And then we have 1 foot equals 12 inches. Okay, I use the abbreviations in this section. 1 foot equals 12 inches. Then we have the yard. 1 yard equals 3 feet, which means that 1 yard, if there's 3 feet in a yard and there's 12 inches in a foot, 12, 12, 12. 12 times 3 is 36. So there's 36 feet in a yard. And finally, the last one, 1 mile has 1,760 yards in it, which means 1 mile, you have to do 1,760 times 3 to get the number of feet, because there's 3 feet in a yard, right? So if there's 1,760 yards in a mile, 1760 times 3, 5,280. You don't remember the Titans where the guy fumbles the football and the coach says, how many feet are in a mile? I ask you, how many feet are in a mile? 5,280. Now you take this ball and you run every one of them. There you are. 5,280 feet in a mile. So there's our connections amongst all the measurements. And we begin with the inch and we work our way up. And those are the 4 main ones that you will ever use. There's other measurements, but as far as the imperial system goes, those are the 4 main ones that you need to be concerned about in life, especially if you'll ever be doing carpentry work. Cabinet work is in metric, so no worries there. But if you're ever going to be in the carpenter crew, you need to know how the imperial system works. So let's continue. Nice example of an imperial ruler here measuring a pencil. So we can see that this pencil is 3 inches and a little bit more. Okay, so it's somewhere between 3 and 4 inches. So how do we do that? Well, every inch is broken up into 16 parts. If you count the little marks, the marks here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me do it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, here, this is where the 16th mark is. So every inch is broken up into 16 marks. Like these guys here, 1, 2, 3, 4. They break it into 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And each of those 4 parts has 4 marks inside it. So every inch is broken up into 16 parts. Okay, so at which mark is this pencil? Check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The end of the tip is at approximately, it's at the 7th mark, right? So we say, as they write it here, 3 7/16 of an inch. That's how we say that. Like if it were metric, then we'd be using centimeters and millimeters. But the inch is the smallest unit in the imperial system. So then to get smaller measurements, we have to break down into smaller parts of an inch. And each inch is broken down into 16 parts. And so we look at, we're basically dealing with quite a few fractions when we're dealing with the imperial system. So 3 7/16 of an inch. Let's do another measurement before we get on to some examples. My pin here. There's the tip. Somewhere between 5 and 6 inches. So here's the halfway point. So it's at, we could say it's past 5.5. Let's count. 1, there would be 4 here. So 4, 8, right? Because there's a 4 in each section. So I can count 4, 8, and then it goes past 2 more. So 8, 9, 10. So 5 10/16. And I can reduce that and say, like each of those is divisible by 2. 10 is 5 and 16 is 8. So I can also say 5 5/8. Right? All right, let's do some examples. We're going to do most of the examples on pages 7 through to 9. So we want to convert conversions. We're beginning here with 5 yards, and we want to convert that 5 yards into feet. How do I convert 5 yards into feet? Well, go back to your reference table here. How many feet are in a yard? 3, right? So then how do I convert yards into feet? 5 times 3 equals 15. So 5 yards equals 15 feet. 2. Inches. Well, there's no need to start with 5 again. We've already got 15 feet, right? And how many inches are in a foot? Go back to the chart that we made and you'll remember that there's 12 inches in a foot. We've already got this 5 yards into feet, so there's no sense doing 5 times 3 again. Take the 15 that we already have, and there are 12 inches in a foot, and 15 times 12, plug that into my calculator, you're at 180. So you can say that 5 yards equals 180 inches. Very good idea to use the abbreviations as much as possible and make your life easier. Okay, now we have 51 inches. And we want to convert that into feet and inches. Feet and inches. So 12 inches in a foot. So how many 12s can we get out of 51? How can we find out what that is? Well, we can use an improper fraction. If there are 12 inches in a foot, which there are, then we can write this as 51 twelfths. Remember improper fractions, 51 twelfths? Now, how many 12s can I get out of 51? 12, 24, 36, 48. If I count by 12s, that's as close to 51 as I can get. So how many times did I count? 12, 24, 36, 48. I counted 4 times. And how many are left over? 49, 50, 51. 3, 4, and 3 twelfths. So, what does that mean? What does this fraction mean? It means I have 4 feet because I took 4 12s out, right? I took 4 12s out and I have 3 12s left over. That means I have 4 feet and the 3 that are left over, those are inches. 4 feet, 3 inches. Okay. Now we want to do yards, feet, and inches with this same thing, and we're already halfway there, right? So, yards, feet, and inches. So 4 feet, well, how many feet are there in an inch? No, sorry. How many feet are there in a yard? Go back to our table and discover that there's 3 feet in a yard. All right. So what does that give us? We have 4 feet. So that means we have 1 yard. So let's rewrite this first of all. We have 4 feet, 3 inches. That means we can take a yard out of here because there's 3 feet in a yard and we have 4 feet. So 1 yard. So 3 of those feet have now become a yard. We still have 1 foot left over. 1 foot. And the inches are going to stay the same. So 1 yard, 1 foot, 3 inches. I have a nice little column there on the side of page 7 with some additional practice. Let's do that. 7 yards. And we want to turn that into feet. First of all, 7 yards into feet. So we have, excuse me, we have 3 feet in a yard, right? From our table. So 7 times 3 equals 21. 7 yards equal 21 feet. And then we can turn feet into inches, right? Inches, take the 21 feet. How many inches are in a foot? Go back to the table, it's 12. And 21 times 12, 252. Which then means that 7 yards are equal to 252 inches. All right, I think that's good for conversions. Let's do some different stuff. Get a fresh sheet. I'm pulling this question from page 8. She is framing a picture. Let's read it from the book. Here, this is at the top of page 8, example 2. Anne is framing a picture. The perimeter of the framed picture will be 136 inches. What will be the perimeter of the framed picture in feet and inches? The framing material is sold by the foot. It costs $1.89 per foot. What would be the cost of the material before taxes? So we want to go from inches into feet. And then we want to figure out our cost. Okay, let's solve this. So she has this picture. Frame, picture frame equals 136 inches. And, well, we want it in feet. How many inches are there in a foot? For the umpteenth time, there's 12, right? Let's use our good friend, the improper fraction again. 136 over 12. How many 12s are there in 136? A whole ton of them, because 12 times 12 is 144, right? 12 times 10 is 120. So man for sure should say, na? And as a matter of fact, what's 12 times 11? Add another 12 to 120. That's 132. That's as close as we're going to get. So we can get 11 12s out of here. 12 times 11 is 132. So from 132 to 136, 33, 34, 35, 36, that's 4. So we have 11 and 4 12ths. So what do we have? This is that's a big picture. This is 11 feet and then 4 inches left over. 11 feet and 4 inches. Okay. This is the method we're going to stick with. They have another method called the proportion method. This one is the better one. This one is better. Just know that there's 12 inches in a foot. Use your improper fraction. Boom, boom, done. We're going to stay with this one. So we're going to move right on to the cost. Cost equals $1.89 per foot. So how do we calculate the cost? Well, you can't buy this material in parts of a foot. You have to buy it in feet. So if you need 11 feet and 4 inches, you're going to have to buy 12 feet. Right? Because you typically need it's and so, you know, I want 11.2 or 11.4 or 11, and you might get maybe 11 and a half, but typically you're going to buy 12 feet. And it's smart to buy 12 feet in case you make a mistake. I mean, there's not that much waste. You throw away a little bit, but to cover yourself in case of a mistake. So 12 times 1.89. My calculator says 2268. And you'd also be paying tax, but we're not going to bother figuring that out. I think this problem has served its purpose. Let's look at the other problem on page 8, which is Ben buying baseboard. Everybody's got this written down. Let's look at the other problem, number 2, here on the second column. Ben buys baseboard for a bedroom. That's a good little tongue twister. Ben buys baseboard for a bedroom. Say that 20 times fast. No, don't. The perimeter of the bedroom, excluding closets and doorway, is 37 feet. What length of baseboard is needed in yards and feet? So he's buying baseboard in yards, and then they're saying the baseboard costs $5.99 per yard. What is the cost? And again, we're not going to be messing about with tax. So, this time we're dealing with 37 feet of baseboard. And we know, and so we want to get this into yards. So we know that there's how many feet in a yard. Go back to your chart. Another good reason for filling out that chart and having it is that you don't need to flip back in the book to the green table every time. How many feet in a yard? 3. Let us go to our very good friend, the improper fraction. 37 thirds. How many 3's are there in 37? Good grief, there have to be a whole lot. Well, 3 times 10 is the easy one, that's 30, but there's going to be more, right? So let's keep counting by 3's. 33, 36. That means there's 12 of them, because we were at 30, that was times 10, 2 more, that's 12. Hetsima Shupa 36, and it's 37, so there's 1 left over. 12 and 1/3. So what does that mean? "12 yards and 1 inch. So how much baseboard are you going to buy? You're going to buy 12 or 13? Can you live with having a 1 inch gap someplace? You know, maybe you'll, I don't know. Maybe you will park your boots in front of that gap or something. But might as well buy 13 yards. It's going to be a lot of waste, but you know, you're going to have this annoying inch where there's no baseboard. And maybe you could use some of the extra baseboard for firewood or something. You might be having a fire that night anyway, so you could go with that. But yeah, I think we're going to need to go with 13. So your cost is $5.99 times 13. $77.87. Done. Right? Let's look at the example now on page 9. Wait a minute. I'm suspicious about my answer here. Interesting. Okay, good. Yes, your answer is correct. Solving a problem involving 2 unit conversions. So there's 2 steps involved. Going to be 2 steps involved in this problem. Let's read the problem. The school council has 6 yards of fabric that will be cut into strips 5 inches wide to make decorative banners for the school dance. How many banners can be made? And verify your conversions. In other words, check that they're correct. So, yeah, let's go with that. We're going to have 6 yards of fabric, and we are making banners that are 5 inches. So how many banners can we get out of there? A whole pile of them. First, we got to get this into inches. We got to know how many inches of fabric there are. So, folks, how many inches are in? I just detected an error in our table here. It's egregious. This should not be feet, it should be inches. 1 yard equals 36 inches. Okay. So, 36 inches. There are 6 yards. So the first thing we have to do is 36 times 6. And see, we could have done times 12 to get the feet. Sorry, we could have done times 3 to get the feet, and then times 12. But we're doing it, we can do it all at once. There's 36 inches in a yard, we know that. So we just do 36 times 6. 216. 216 inches. Now, how many inches do we need for each banner? What's the width? Go back to the problem. They're going to be 5 inches wide. Aha! 216 over 5. Our good friend, the improper fraction. Now, how many 5s are there in 216? Shoo, that's a lot of banners. Well, how many 5s are there in 100? How many $20 bills do you need to make 100 bucks? You need 5 of them. So how many 5s are there in 100? There's 20, right? So how many 5s are there in 200? There's 40. How many 5s are there in 16? 5, 10, 15. I would say there's 3. So we have 43, can make 43 banners, right? And we're going to have 1 left over. 43 and 1/5. Don't know what you're going to do with that last 1/5. Maybe you'll make a kindergarten banner, right? So anyway, the answer is here that we can make 43 banners. That's it, that's all. There's nothing more to do with this problem. There's really not. I mean, our math is good. If you look at the solution in the book, you'll notice they had a lot more steps. That's because they went inches and then feet or whatever. We just did 36 all at once. I mean, when you have the information, then do the problem in the most efficient way possible. And any carpenter will tell you that. All right, let's look at Mr. Tyrell making friendship bracelets on page 9 right here. Tyrell has 4 yards of cord to make friendship bracelets. Each bracelet needs 8 inches. How many bracelets can you make? And use your blah 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 unit analysis. Okay. We can dispense with this problem fairly quickly. He has 4 yards of cord, and he's making 8-inch bracelets. So. Well, once again, we're dealing with the 36, right? 36 inches and a yard. He's making 8-inch bracelets. 4 times 36. I shouldn't need my calculator for this. Double 36 is 72. Double 72 again is 144. No. That was easy, right? Or you can do 4 30s, make 120. And then 6 times 4 is 24. 120 add 24 is 144. How long is he making the bracelets? 8 inches. And it is my great pleasure to reintroduce the improper fraction. 144 over 8. Well, how many are there? Well, 10, we're only at 80. It's probably not going to be 20, I don't think, because 20 times 8 is 160. So somewhere between 10 and 20. Gosh, that narrows it down, doesn't it? Let's try a calculator. I'm going to try 15 times 8. That's 120. I'm pretty sure there's more. 15 times 9, 135. 15 times 10 would be 150, so that's too far. So the number we're looking for is 9. So there are 9. He can make 9 of those. No. Why did I say 9? 15 times 8 is 120. 16 times 8 is 128, so we're still going up. Let's go to 18. Sorry, ich glaube, ich bin doch confusing gewesen, I'm pretty sure. But I'm just working my way up. 18 times 8. Oh, it's exactly 144. Just to show you. 18 times 8 is 144. So very simple, actually. The answer is 18. You can make exactly 18 bracelets. Nothing left over. This problem was a lot easier than I made it, I'll be honest. I was overthinking it. I don't know why I was overthinking it, but I was. Okay. I think we're set for exercises. We're not going to do the very last example dealing with miles. We're going to skip miles for today. So, your exercises then. You'll find them all on page 11. Homework. Page 11. Number 3, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13. Take a moment to write those down, and then we will go over the exercises. 3, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13. Okay, shall we go to page 11. Which imperial unit is the most appropriate unit to measure each item? So you've got the height of your desk, the thickness of your mattress. Are you going to use feet, inches, yards, or miles? Okay, for each one. 6, estimate each length in imperial units. Length of your arm from wrist to elbow. It's up to you what you use. You're using inches, feet, for each one you decide. The height of your classroom, distance from your classroom to the school office. In our case, that's a pretty short distance. Perimeter of your school grounds. You don't need to go measure anything. Just estimate what you think the distance is in your head. If you think the perimeter of the school grounds is a couple of miles, well, so be it. It's a lot less than that, but I'm just saying estimate. Number 7, convert 3 feet into inches. 12 inches in a foot, right folks? 63 yards into feet, 3 feet in a yard, right? 48 inches to feet. Now careful with this one. There's 12 inches in a foot. Does that mean you're going to do 48 times 12? Obviously not. You're going to have a smaller number here, right? Because an inch is bigger than a foot. There's going to be less feet. So what you do here, you do 48 divide by 12. When you're going from a smaller unit to a bigger unit, you have to divide because there's going to be less units. There's going to be less feet than inches, not more. So every time you convert, you have to think about whether you're multiplying or dividing. So let's, for number 7, this is a pretty important question. 3 feet to inches, that would be 3 times 12. 63 yards to feet, that would be 63 times 3. Because again, you're going from a larger unit into a smaller one, so your number, your units are you're going to get more units, right? But then 48 inches to feet, 48 divide by 12. You're going smaller to larger, so you'll have less units. So 48 divide by 12. Number 8. Convert 2 miles to feet. Again, look at your table. How many feet are in a mile? And here you're going to multiply because there's going to be way more units now going from miles to feet. Okay? 574 inches to yards, feet, and inches. So first you'll find out how many yards there are, right? And then how many feet, and then whatever's left over becomes your inches. So use your improper fraction, right? 574 inches. There's how many inches. You want to start with feet, that's up to you. I would start with yards. 574, how many inches are in a yard? Check your table. 36. Okay. Then you pull out how many yards you've got, right? Using the 36 from your improper fraction. How many 36s are there in 574? Whatever's left over becomes your feet. Then you set up again. And whatever's left over all the way at the end becomes your inches. I'm thinking we should do B. So we're going to do 8B together. And then I'll leave you, actually we'll do C together. And I'll leave you with A and B. So this is now 8C. I don't think we've done an example. We didn't do an example with the big stuff. So we should do one now. So we want to do 7,390 feet to miles, yards, and feet. Okay? So, how many feet are in a mile? 5,280. So this is the same thing, but working with bigger numbers. Don't let it get to you. Okay? 7,390 over 5,280 feet in a mile. So large numbers now. But you can see just looking at this. In 7,390 feet, there's only going to be 1 mile, right? Because 2 of them would be over 10,000, so there is only 1 mile. There's 1 mile. Let's find the feet. So whatever's left over, right? We were only going in once. So all you have to do is 7,390 take away 5,280. 2,110. So we know we have 1 mile and we have 2,110 feet left over. So what are we going to do? Let's write them down here. 2,110 feet left. So we took out 5,280. We're left with 2,110. Well, we're going to turn those into yards, aren't we? That's our next step right here. So 2,110. How many feet, yards, or how many feet are in a yard? What are we doing now? Go back to your table. 3 feet in a yard. 2,110 divide by 3. I have no idea if this number divides equally into 3 or not, but I'm going to do 2,110 divide 3, 703 and a little bit left over. So this is 703. And I need to know how many there are. So I'm going to do 700 and where I'm at. 703 times 3, 2,109. So I almost made it. With 703 and a bit, there's 2,110. So this becomes 703 and 1/3. Right? I just want to quickly show what I did. (2,110) divided by 3 got me to 703.33333333. Okay, so I know that there are 703 yards here. So I want to do 703 times 3. I'm at 2,109, so there is only 1 foot left over. So 703 and a third. 703 yards and 1 foot. So 7,390 feet is 1 mile, 703 yards, 1 foot. Was that a brain bender? Well, I won't ask you to do the big number stuff just yet. So don't get in a panic about 8C. But I hope you can do 8A and B. Now let's just look at the remainder of the exercises. (12 and 13). These are simply word problems similar to the ones we did. This guy had 21 feet and 9 inches. He converted into yards, feet, and inches. He said it was 7 yards, 1 foot, and 9 inches. Is he correct? Is his answer correct or not? So do the math, use the information from your table, find out if his answer was correct. We've got the world's tallest living woman and man. I don't know if this information is still accurate. Depends how old the book is. 7 feet 7 inches, 8 feet 5 inches. How many inches shorter is Sandy than Leonid? Well, you have to convert them both into inches. You've got feet and inches. Convert them both into inches and then compare. 12 inches. Some of this is already in inches, right? So just take the feet multiplied by how many inches are in a foot. Add this on, do this for the other, then you've got them both in inches, and you can compare. So 12 and 13 are not difficult questions. Most difficult question you have in your homework is 8C. We did that one together, and you can certainly do it again on your own if you want to get a little extra practice. But as I said, I'm not going to be assigning any long distances. This recording has gone on for almost an hour. It's time to end it. So this is the end of our first recorded math class. Adios. You will be watching this on Monday, September the 14th, most likely.